Hi everyone, this is Dave from Geekanoids, and in this video I want to give you an update on my Fujifilm X100T. Now if you watch my videos regularly, you'll have recently seen that I published a geek camera collection video where I went through all of my current cameras, including this, which is a new addition to my collection. And I thought it would just be nice to give you a little update video, let you know how I've been getting on with the X100T, the things I like, a couple of things I dislike as well. Not deal breakers by any means, but just a couple of things that I think could be improved on. And also why I actually made this purchase. Now I did cover why I made this purchase back in the collection video, but I want to just summarise it again here. Now, when I take a camera out, I always struggle with trying to decide which lens I'm going to take with me. And I'm very indecisive when it comes to that, because you never know what you're going to actually find when you go on a day out, what photo opportunities are going to present themselves to you. So more often than not, I find myself taking a couple of lenses and that weighs me down. And then when I'm actually shooting, I have to switch out lenses depending upon what I'm going to be taking a photo of. And sometimes it made me leave my camera at home and not take it with me. So I wanted to take that decision out of the equation. So I was looking for more than a compact camera, something with really good quality optics, a great sensor, and the Fujifilm X100T just seemed to fit the bill perfectly. I have reviewed the previous generations of the X100 as well, and this has got a fixed lens, so it's a fixed 23mm f2.0 lens. Great optics on here, so you can't zoom in or out, so it gets me more involved in my photography. And indeed, when I've taken this out a few times with me, I found that I am more engaged and more creative because I use my legs and feet to walk closer to the subject instead of zooming in, and then I'm closer to the subject, so I get to feel the experience more. So that's one equation one decision I took out of the equation. Now it is a really nice lens. It's got an aperture ring on the front as well. Really nice that it's got this aperture ring here and a very smooth focus ring as well. So if you are doing manual focus, you can use this. I found that the autofocus on here is super fast, so I really haven't been doing much manual focus yet. So that's sort of why I decided to actually purchase this camera. It's not quite compact, you know, you couldn't fit it in your pocket. But it is a very portable camera. I'm finding I'm taking it more places with me, and again I use my feet as the zoom lens, so that's the sort of main reason I made this purchase. The other reason I made it is because of the sensor. This has got a nice large sensor inside. It's a 16.3 megapixel sensor, and it's an X-Trans CMOS 2 with primary color filter. APS-C size sensor, so a nice large sensor for this size of camera. And also the build quality sold it to me as well. This is a solid camera, very well made, and it's got plenty of manual control on it. And all of the buttons, if we just come around to this sort of back plate, we've got the 3-inch screen, which has got, I think, a 1040p dot resolution, so it's a beautiful screen. I'll show you it actually turned on in a moment. But all of the controls fall in a nice place, so when you're holding it, we've got all of the drive controls, we've got a dial control here, we've got focus and exposure lock, quick menu buttons here. Everything falls under your thumb here, and you can access the 2 top dials as well very easily. So it's extremely well laid out, and then all of the play and view modes are down this side here, superbly laid out, so really pleased with that. And if I just show you the top dials again, now this has got an automatic mode, so you don't have to use it manually. The way you access the automatic mode is to leave the shutter speed and the aperture ring in automatic, and of course you leave the focus in automatic as well. So you've got single autofocus, continuous autofocus, or manual autofocus on this switch here. So if you wanted to go fully manual, you'd flick this up to manual, you'd put your shutter speed to whatever speed you want, and then you'd set your aperture on the front dial here. So now we're in fully manual. So let's pop it back into autofocus using the side switch. So now we've got autofocus, but we've got manual aperture and manual shutter speed. If we wanted to use it in aperture priority, we'd have the shutter speed set to automatic, and we'd adjust the aperture as we wanted it. So now we're in aperture priority. If we wanted shutter priority, we'd put this background to auto, and then we'd adjust the shutter speed accordingly. So very, very easy to flick back and forward between aperture priority, shutter priority, and of course automatic. And then we've got exposure compensation on a dial as well. Very nicely laid out. Now we've got a function button on the top, we've got the on-off switch, shutter button of course, we've got a hot shoe, and then on the back you'll notice, as well as this screen, we've also got a viewfinder. Now this viewfinder is very special. It's like a hybrid viewfinder, so you can use it as an electronic viewfinder, an optical viewfinder, or indeed you can even have an optical viewfinder with a little overlay window, which is a little square, which is an electronic viewfinder. So the beauty of that is you get to look through an optical viewfinder, but you also get to see how your settings are altering the photo that you're going to take before you take it. And you switch between those modes using this little sort of toggle switch on the front. So you can switch between EVF, optical viewfinder, and then that hybrid one with the overlay. Very, very good indeed. So really impressive. And all of these knurled dials as well are just so nicely done. This is a very, very nicely engineered camera. So I've been super pleased with pretty much all of it. Let me just turn it on briefly and I'll show you the beautiful screen on the back. Let's just go back to using the screen. So this is what the screen looks like. In fact, if I go into playback mode, I can just show you a couple of photos that I took. So I'm using sort of the preset film simulation modes in bracketing, so I get 3 different film simulation modes per photo, so that works really well. Let me just find another photo that is maybe takes up the full screen for you. Here we go. So this just gives you an idea of the quality of the screen. Really amazing for both composing your photos, using the menus, or indeed for actually viewing back your photos as well. So let's go into the menu. I'll give you a brief look at the menu. So everything's really easily laid out in the menu as well. Superb settings for the menu. You can configure pretty much anything, and the film simulation modes are amazing. That's one of the things I've really been liking. This does shoot in RAW or JPEG and RAW. To be completely honest, I've been shooting mainly in JPEG using different film simulations and film simulation bracketing. I think that works really well. Back to the menu, we can skip through the menus quickly as well and then just jump into which ones we want to change. So we've got 5 shooting menus and then 3 setup menus as well. Extremely easy to set up, and very fast focus as well. Now, I mentioned that there is manual focus or autofocus, of course. Again, to be honest, I really haven't used the manual focus, although this is a really smooth ring. The autofocus is so fast. Very, very fast indeed. Now this does capture video as well, 1080p video up to 60 frames per second. It's not why I purchased it, but it is there. On the side here we have got micro USB, micro HDMI, and a 2.5mm microphone input as well, so you could add an external microphone if you so wished. So that is an option, and I will probably do some video on this just to see how it works. Now I mentioned there's a couple of things I didn't like. The first one is something I could have researched before I made the purchase, and that is, although this is a compact camera, it's so well built, it is still quite heavy. Not as heavy as carrying around an SLR or DSLR and a couple of lenses, but it is still heavier than most compact cameras. And that was just a little bit disappointing for me. I thought it was going to be a little bit lighter. The other thing that I was a little bit disappointed with is the ergonomics, the grip just here. Now, as I mentioned, this isn't a mega compact camera, you know, it's got quite a bit of bulk to it, and the lens does protrude, not much, but it protrudes by probably about 15 to 20 millimeters. So why not give us another 5 millimeters on this grip, just to make it come out a little bit more, you know, just to sort of here, just to fill in this gap that I'm finding. It's still comfortable to hold, but I just think they could have really adjusted this a little bit more and given us a little bit more grip area. But again, not a deal breaker. Overall, I'm very, very pleased with my purchase, and it's just a real joy to use a camera that's so easy to use, nice and compact with that large sensor that really does deliver fantastic results. People are saying this is ideally suited to street photography. We've got this 23mm lens, which is equivalent to a 35mm lens due to the crop factor. Is an ideal focal length for street photography, and I'm keen to explore that avenue as well. I haven't done much street photography yet with it, but it's something I certainly will be doing. So I hope you've appreciated this little sort of update on the X100T. It's slowly growing and to become my sort of favourite camera. It really is, for photography, not for video. I will try video on it, but for photography this is becoming one of my favourites, and it's just a gorgeous camera with some really great features and great performance. So that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please do hit that like button. Please do subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one.